Well, the second quarter is closed and behind us. We're halfway through the year. I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking forward to this third quarter. Q2 was a busy 13 weeks, and I've got to get back on track. I think I'm all caught up on traveling for a little bit. I've hit Pennsylvania, Georgia, Illinois, and where else did I go? Oh, Nevada the last couple of months. I'll need to make it up to Denver in the coming weeks, but hey, I'm going to enjoy getting caught up while I can. You know, we need to reach out and get a few guests back on the show too. I'll see what I can do about that. If you'd like to be a guest on the show and share some of your true work-life experiences with us, all you need to do is send an email to host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com along with any topic that you'd like to share, and I'll get it set up. All right, through my recent travels, I ran across, what would you call them? I guess we could say discrepancies. No, not really discrepancies. Misunderstandings regarding our job descriptions. I heard about one facility, they'd had a little water leak. Nothing really catastrophic, but enough water on the floor that selection had to stop over, come to a halt over there in that area, and it needed to get mopped up and squeegeed out of the way before the shift could gear back up. Most everyone jumped in, kind of an all-hands-on-deck mode, with the exception of two of the selectors. They had gone over to the break room, sat down, and kind of kicked back for a bit. The team got everything cleaned up in about 30 minutes. They'd really done a great job, and the safety manager gave the go-ahead to start selection again. Their supervisor went over to the break room and asked why the two gentlemen hadn't helped out. He didn't really receive an answer, said that he got a couple of shoulder shrugs. He thanked them, explained there were only a few hours worth of work left and that they could go home for the day and he'd see them tomorrow. Well, that didn't set well with the two. I'm not sure why. Well, I'm sure it was because they were being released early, but after all, they had been setting for 30 minutes while everyone else was working and cleaning up the spills. Everyone else was making their same hourly wage, throughout the shift, just mopping a little instead of selecting. The next day, one of the guys was feeling a little bad about not lending a hand. He said he just didn't think about it and that he should have helped out and got back to selecting. But the other young man came in and he was sticking to his I'm a selector mindset. He honestly did not understand what he'd done wrong and didn't understand why the others felt that he had done something wrong. I think I've mentioned the time I was selecting back in our high-rise department, and a front dock supervisor came back there and asked me to stop what I was doing and go pick up the restrooms that they needed to look great, and then he just kind of darted on down the aisles. I grudgingly went ahead and swept the floor, carried out the 2 trash cans. Probably took me about 10 minutes, I guess. I'd walked out and turned the corner, almost bumping into our VP of operations, walking with an inspector or an auditor from one of our customers, as it turned out. Later on that evening, the VP came back and thanked me for straightening things up. He said that we had passed the inspection and really received a great score. Now, I could have said no to that supervisor, spent 10 more minutes selecting, probably have gotten in trouble and recognized by the VP in a much different way. Here's another real good one. So 2 gentlemen were starting to unload a container that was staged at the dock. The back pallets were pinwheeled or placed sideways, and their pallet jack couldn't get under them to pull them out. A forklift driver was driving by, and they asked him to grab the first 2 for them so, that they could get started. Well, the driver just kind of laughed a bit and told them they'd have to restack them. It wasn't his responsibility to do it for them. Now, as it turned out, that was a pretty hot load and needed to be turned around in 2 hours. The dock supervisor grabbed 2 more men, put them in the trailer to help the original 2, one of them being that forklift driver. He ended up helping to run the pallets out of the trailer and get assigned to jump in and help break down all the items. I'm a bit puzzled every time I hear about an employee kind of taking the low road, not helping out or saying or implying something that it's not my job. If we're being paid hourly, we're making the same money for doing whatever, is asked of us. Even if we're on some type of production or activity-based pay, there's going to be a component to pay us from. Nobody has ever lost money by following direction or lending a helping hand. While recently traveling, I was out on the docks really early a.m. The second shift had just wrapped up their selection and loading out that day's routes. To say the least, the docks were a mess. Shrink wrap, pieces of wood, and cardboard or slip sheets were scattered everywhere. I found a 42-inch dust mop. I know, it's not the right tool. But I took advantage of the dock being empty before the inbound loads were spotted, and the unloaders, were going to get started filling the docks with pallets. That wasn't my job. And others seeing me sweeping joined in, and we had the dock really presentable in under 12 minutes. When we're hired, the job is discussed with us. Usually, or hopefully, we're given a job description of our task. Every job description I've ever seen or helped write will say something to the effect of performs other duties as assigned or other tasks may be assigned. Now, this isn't a catch-all, and of course has to be something around our normal task or something we may see others doing within our facility. Job descriptions aren't really required, but most of us in our industry will get one, or at least our positions are going to be explained to us. 9 out of 10 times, we're going to be told something like, or whatever needs to be done. I want to say again, we'll be making the same monies for following directions. We should just go ahead and do it. We're helping our boss or teammates out. That'll never turn out bad for us. We here at WAOC is all about getting noticed and learning something new, right? Speaking of sweeping floors, I'm reminded of a true story, a real experience of mine. I was selecting one night. The lights went out in the back side of the warehouse, and we had to stop selection until safety and the building maintenance could give us the go-ahead. Our supervisor told us all to go up front and work a bit at cleaning the loading docks. All of us, except one gentleman, went up and got started. We maybe cleaned for 20 minutes, the power came back on, and we went back to work. I guess at some point that gentleman had told the supervisor that cleaning the docks was not his job. Well, he was dismissed and terminated that very evening for failing to follow directions, and HR supported the supervisor's decision the following morning. I get it. It's so easy to get settled into our day-to-day jobs, and normally that's what our job is going to be. But we need to remember we're being paid from punch in to punch out. Occasionally, we're going to be asked to help out doing something else. As long as it's legal, ethical, and not dangerous, and we know how to perform the task, that's going to be our job for a while or for the shift. Of course, there's some exceptions, maybe a contract thing or something that we're uncomfortable doing for safety reasons, but for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, it is our job. We're employed to do our jobs and meet the company's needs. Saying something like it's not my job, even once, isn't going to help us with our advancement or promotion plans. I'm sure all of us may think a little differently on a few of these points, and I'd welcome to hear a few examples or your experiences with "it's not my job" comments. You can start a discussion on our Facebook or Twitter feeds using that little @ WHSEANDOPS 24/7, or send us an email to host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com. And as always, let us know of any topics you'd like us to look into, or share your thoughts with the group. Well, thank you for listening in today. And I think I mentioned we're halfway through the year already. How are you doing on our goals? Almost jumped off topic again, didn't I? Anyways, so until next week, let's all be safe, think safe, and work safe.